I wonder why.
I'm Batman, better than the Man of Steel. You should know who I am. I'm the OG real deal. I'm the most unique superhero that the world's ever seen. So don't steal my thing.
Hey guys, Detective Steve here, coming to you from my comfy couch, something I really should vlog from more often. The topic of today is the Batman-Superman movie and the various decisions Warner Brothers has been making in regards to that movie, namely the casting. I'll lay the groundwork here real quickly and say I liked the movie Man of Steel. I am not in one of the polar opposite camps who either really loved or really hated the movie. I'm in the camp that enjoys the movie. You know, if you have me sitting down and watching the movie, I'd probably be like, yeah, this is kind of a fun little movie. But I am not in the camp that is unwilling to criticize it in any way. I see that there are many problems with the movie. There are very good reasons for the people who don't like it not to like it. But ultimately, I don't care that much. Ultimately, I enjoy the movie. Now, with that said, let's talk about the Batman-Superman movie. I'll start off with the first big casting, Ben Affleck as Batman. My God, the internet went crazy for this one. And in all honesty, I can kind of see why, and I kind of can't. The way I view Ben Affleck being cast as Batman is he's more of an actor that I would say could play a normal person. Like, he's not one of the kind of actors that you would see playing a superhero, a mythical person of any sort. And Batman definitely falls into that category. So, for me, what gets me about Ben Affleck being Batman in the Batman-Superman movie is I just don't see him as the kind of guy who could play this big, all-important character with such a reputation as Batman's. That being said, I've only seen Ben Affleck's potential as normal people, so I don't know what he could be like as Batman. Maybe there's some new spin on Batman that they could take, and he'll be really good at it. So in the case of Ben Affleck, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt until I actually watch the movie. Next we have Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. She's most known for being the character Giselle in the Fast and Furious movies. I don't really know much about the character. The only Fast and Furious I ever saw was number 6. But I will offer a disclaimer. When I first heard that she was cast, I thought she was the character who was just like Paul Walker's character in the Fast and Furious movies. I thought Gal Gadot played his wife. I went on YouTube later, did some research. I found out Gal Gadot is not that girl. She's actually one of the girls who does some action-y stuff. So for that, she has the slightest ounce of confidence from me that she can actually do action-y stuff. But that's about all I can say. Wonder Woman is a very commanding, intimidating, she's a very powerful presence, or at least she should be. And to get a woman like that to play Wonder Woman, again, benefit of the doubt, but this is one that I'm actually kind of not hopeful for. Unfortunately, she won't actually get her own Wonder Woman movie until, 2017 or 2018. In the meantime, we'll just have to see how she does in her cameo in the Batman-Superman movie. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think I'll be able to properly judge her. I don't think anyone will be able to properly judge her from just a cameo. Then there's the most recent and probably one of the other really big controversial choices in casting, Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. Now, Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot, they did make me tilt my head a little bit when they were cast. They seemed like pretty odd choices, but Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, I think that is the strangest choice that they've made so far. In my opinion, Jesse Eisenberg mostly plays Jesse Eisenberg. He's this meat guy. He's kind of a nerd, but he's also a huge smartass, is very smart, very witty, and can command a certain impact, I guess I'll say, from him talking to other people. He'll show that he has power in his voice. He did this, as best I can say, in The Social Network when he played Mark Zuckerberg. He held his own against these big-time lawyers He had a certain confidence in his voice, even if it was a confidence of arrogance. The Lex Luthor I'm familiar with was generally an older man, which is why I'm surprised that Eisenberg was cast. But he had a very smooth kind of arrogance to him. He had this sort of, yeah, I'm going to do something and I'm going to get away with it because I'm a billionaire and I'm a genius and I'm just sneaky like that. Jesse Eisenberg, he has this sort of antagonistic arrogance that I don't think would quite fit for Lex Luthor in that fashion. Again, with the DC movies that they're doing nowadays, it's like, this is a new spin on a classic character, but ultimately, I think there is something to Jesse Eisenberg that if they do it right, it could make a good Lex Luthor. For one, I've seen a picture of Jesse Eisenberg bald, and if they go with that look for the movie, they'll at least have a pretty decent look down. But the one thing that blows my mind about this particular casting is Bryan Cranston, most famous recently for being on Breaking Bad as Walter White. There was a rumor going around that he was in the running to be cast as Lex Luthor, and he said, yeah, I'd be more than up for playing Lex Luthor if they wanted me. And it seemed like just a really good choice. So why they would pass on such a perfect choice, I don't know. I guess maybe he just doesn't fit their new Lex Luthor, but a huge missed opportunity there, I will say that much. Okay, now that I've talked what everyone has talked about, the controversial parts, I want to talk a little more about things that are looking up for the movie. One in particular that I don't think is widely known, but should be widely known. They cast Jeremy Irons as Alfred. Fantastic choice. I love Jeremy Irons. I've seen him, he was Scar in The Lion King. He played Brom in Aragon, and even though Aragon itself wasn't a very good adaptation, Brom was excellently portrayed by Jeremy Irons. The way I see it, he could very well have the qualities needed to play Alfred. Alfred has always been a smart-ass foil for Bruce Wayne, and that's something Jeremy Irons can definitely do very well. For one, we saw him in The Lion King doing that, so that's something I can definitely believe. So I have nothing but love for that casting choice. I'm excited to see Jeremy Irons as Alfred. Now for the bit of positive news for people who may not know, Chris Terrio, the screenwriter who worked on Argo, is rewriting the screenplay for the Batman-Superman movie. Now Chris Terrio, I really don't have a frame of reference for him and what he's done, aside from the fact that he was the screenwriter for Argo. It's kind of coincidental when you think about that. He's the screenwriter for Argo, which Ben Affleck directed, and Ben Affleck is now in this movie as Batman. Contrary to what they said in the press releases where they say it had something to do with effectively capturing all the visual necessities for the movie, I think this redo of the script that isn't highly publicized is one of the reasons it was delayed until 2016. Again, being the optimist that I am, I'm taking the slight ounce of hope that maybe Warner Brothers listened to the criticism about the writing for Man of Steel. I've heard a good deal of people criticize the way Man of Steel was written, not just the out of order and disjointed way Clark's backstory was told, but among other various things. So they probably handed David S. Goyer, he's the guy who's apparently writing a lot of these DC movies for Warner Brothers, and they handed it off to Chris Terrio and said, this is pretty good, this is pretty much roughly what we want to go for. Bring it down a little more, make it a little more better, I guess. That's the best way I can say is, okay, David S. Goyer did this, let's give it to another writer with a project of higher credibility and make it better. Well, those are my thoughts on the news regarding the Batman-Superman movie. And I will say this much. Whether the movie is a grand spectacle the likes of which man has never seen before, or it's a complete disaster, it's going to be interesting.